And for more on this, we're now joined by former Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. He was also a Republican presidential candidate. Governor, thanks for joining us this morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
Great to have you, sir. So what's your reaction to this reported executive action by President Biden? Do you think it's a little too late?
Well, it's politics. I mean, clearly this is driven by polling out there. We heard for months about the bill that you just mentioned that was going to be up before the U.S. Senate. We heard when it was in the House that absolutely we had to have congressional action. The president couldn't act on this alone. Republicans like myself and others said, no, you can take executive action to close the border. Now suddenly we're hearing they're going to use executive action to close it if it hits 4,000 or more. The number in the bill is 5,000. The bottom line is, just like President Trump did years ago, you can take executive action, stay in Mexico policy, other policies along the border. There are things that can be done by the President of the United States and his administration. This administration has failed to do so thus far, and they've tried to brush it off on members of Congress and the other party, when the reality is they have all the tools to secure the border, not just for border states, but for people like those who live in my state and others across the country who see this as a national security issue when fentanyl is showing up and killing our young people. You
mentioned polling. Now, according to NewsNation's most recent Decision Desk HQ poll, I want to share it with our viewers, immigration was listed as the second biggest problem facing the United States today. There's the polling there. Also among respondents, 46% named Trump as the best candidate to handle border issues, compared to Biden at just 26%. Does this explain, we mentioned polling, why Biden is taking action now?
Absolutely. I mean, you look at this issue, you look at high prices in the economy. I work at Young America's Foundation. The polling we've done, even with college students, so the economy is the #1 issue. So if you've got college students, a reliable source of votes typically in the past for Joe Biden and Democrats, now suddenly turning more towards the economy. If you look at the border security issue, no longer just being an issue for Texas and California and Arizona and New Mexico, but being an issue at least in all 48 states here in the continental United States. Why? Because, again, like I said, if fentanyl or other drugs can come across the border, make its way up to Mosinee, Wisconsin, and tragically take the life of a young person who doesn't even know it, that has become a national security issue. And it's one that goes beyond just conservative Republicans. Everyday Americans are concerned about this, and they see this administration failing to act. Again, I think you said it right. It's probably too little, too late. But that's why we're seeing this abrupt change in policy.
Governor, I also want to get your take on former President Trump's plan to tackle immigration, of course, if he's reelected. He's promising mass deportations of undocumented immigrants, mobilizing the National Guard as well as other federal agencies. We don't have any real answers on who's paying for it, but in your opinion, do you think this is the right approach?
Well, I think first and foremost, you absolutely have to secure the border. So it's not just a matter of shutting things down. When I was governor, we sent troops from the Wisconsin National Guard to the southern border to help the governors there who were trying to act on it, even on their own. I think if you had a president joining with people like Governor Abbott and others who really are trying to keep it secure. Remember, this is not about not wanting immigrants. America has more than 1 million legal immigrants who come into this country every single year. We have 4 times as many foreign-born citizens is the next closest country in the world. So this is not about us not wanting people to come here and want to live their piece of the American dream. We do want that. That's what this country is about. But do it legally. Make sure we've got a safe process. I think increasingly people realize those pouring across our southern border are really part of an invasion. And if you have an invasion in a country, you need to send your military there to secure the border, make sure the legal process works. But don't let people in with guns, with firearms, with drugs, with human trafficking. These are things causing horrific damage, particularly to young people across the country. And we need a president who's going to act on it.
Yeah, and certainly a top concern on voters' minds. Former Governor Scott Walker, we appreciate your time this morning, sir. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.